White streaks cross the camera feed and vanish. No impact. No alarm. Nothing outside the ship appears unusual. A crew member looking through the window would see empty space. The systems report normal operation. The mission is working exactly as planned. And the crew is already inside the dangerous part. The particles arrive first. Long before Mars, long before landing, long before anyone can go home. A faint burst of static crawls across a monitor. Another white streak flashes against the hull camera, then another. Not impacts you can hear, not damage you can see, just brief signs that something invisible is passing through. Back on Earth, a magnetic field and a thick atmosphere absorb much of this punishment. Out here, neither exists. Deep space offers distance, but almost no protection. NASA has measured this environment for decades. The numbers were never the problem. Living inside them is... The vehicle continues forward. Mars remains far ahead. Radiation dose begins accumulating long before landing becomes possible. Long before rescue remains realistic. Long before the crew can pretend Earth is still nearby. Another cluster of white flashes crawls across the camera feed. The shielding is holding. For now. The white streaks stop appearing. The static disappears. The cabin settles into the kind of silence people usually associate with safety. A cup remains exactly where it was left. Equipment hums normally. Nothing seems broken. Yet a radiation counter continues its slow, indifferent climb. The quiet part is still dangerous. Hours become days. The ship keeps moving outward. Mars is not a single destination ahead. It is months spent inside the same exposure. Every successful mile adds more time for particles to find another path through shielding that was never meant to become a replacement for Earth. A crew member could feel perfectly healthy while the environment keeps working in the background. That is the betrayal. NASA's transit studies have shown the journey itself may last for months. The danger is no longer arriving in bursts. It has spread into the calendar. The hull looks unchanged. The stars look unchanged. Inside the cabin, a display keeps counting upward. No alarm sounds. No impact is visible. No storm needs to exist anymore. The ship continues forward through calm space while invisible damage continues accumulating, one ordinary day at a time. The counter keeps climbing. So, attention shifts toward the most protected place inside the ship. Not the cockpit. Not the sleeping quarters. A small shelter. Water containers, storage supplies, equipment packs, and interior walls are arranged around a confined space where the crew can wait if conditions worsen. It feels practical, temporary, human. And outside those layers, particles continue arriving. The wall is not a planet. A charged particle strikes the outer structure. Most of its energy is absorbed. Another reaches deeper and weakens. Another never makes it through at all. The shielding works. But the environment remains larger than the protection. On Earth, radiation first meets an atmosphere stretching overhead and a magnetic field wrapped around an entire world. NASA measures the difference every time spacecraft leave that protection behind. Here, the body depends on manufactured layers only a short distance away. The cabin remains sealed. Air remains breathable. Nothing appears wrong. Yet survival now depends on material thickness. stored water, equipment placement, and where a person happens to be standing when exposure continues accumulating. The shelter reduces danger. It does not remove it. Beyond the walls, the ship keeps crossing empty space. Inside, the crew sits within the best protection available, while particles continue testing it from every direction. A green line on a monitor jumps upward, then settles, then jumps again. The cabin remains silent. No flashing warnings, no shaking structure, just a stream of small measurements refusing to return to zero. The danger does not switch off. The shelter still exists. The walls still absorb part of what arrives. But the longer the mission continues, the less useful a simple explanation becomes. Radiation is no longer a storm passing through. It has become part of the route itself. A crew member moves through an ordinary day. Checks equipment, reviews procedures, eats, sleeps. Meanwhile, background exposure continues arriving from every direction. NASA tracks this environment because deep space never becomes completely clean. Even after major events pass, lower levels of radiation remain woven into the journey. That changes the problem. You are no longer waiting for conditions to improve. You are living inside them. The body remains under stress. Electronics remain under stress. Small uncertainties begin collecting in systems that were designed to be reliable. A sensor reading drifts. A monitor records another hit. A calculation requires another check. Nothing has failed. Yet control feels thinner. Mars grows larger on navigation displays. Earth grows farther behind. And between them, the ship keeps crossing a region that cannot be paused, avoided, or switched off. The green line jumps again. The cabin stays quiet. The exposure does not. Mars appears through the forward windows long before anyone can reach it. A real horizon, real ground, a destination that finally looks solid after months of crossing empty space. For a moment, it feels like the danger should be ending. It is not. Mars is not shelter. The planet grows larger beneath the ship while the exposure remains. Radiation does not stop because there is land below. It simply follows the mission into a new location. NASA has measured this reality for years. Mars has a thin atmosphere and lacks the kind of global magnetic protection that surrounds Earth. The difference becomes visible only after arrival. A habitat sits beneath a pale sky. Equipment stands outside. Dust drifts across the surface. And particles continue falling through the environment. The crew can finally step onto another world. Yet survival still depends on walls, shielding, stored supplies, and protected spaces. Eyes scan the horizon. Boots touch Martian soil. But safety never returns with the landing. The route was exposed. The destination is exposed. Understanding the hazard does not create Earth's protection around the planet below. Inside the habitat, life continues. Outside, the radiation field continues too. The mission no longer feels like a journey towards safety. It feels like permanent exposure management beneath a different sky.